Good evening, everyone. Vanakkam. Thank you so much for joining with human biology. So this particular topic is one of the interesting topic that I recently come across. So it is about how the markets, the retailers, and the other people, probably in terms of the buyer, the sellers, and the other shopkeepers. So how they literally transform us to buy certain products. So in terms of, let it be in terms of marketing, telemarketing, or any kind of things, right? So it depends on how these particular things literally make us to think how these particular other implementations have been going on, right? So I'll just go through certain slides right now, and I'll be briefing you certain important topics which literally is important, right? So there are certain factors where you can say it as a tricks where the retailers use to get you to spend more. So if you go for a shopping, so you wanted to buy a particular dress, so but it in turn you rather ending up in buying some 3 4 dresses, right? So that's how the manipulation is being going on, right? So just to understand that how you should make yourself so consistent in such a way that you buy what at least you want for, right? It is not that something that makes that influences you buy that for that particular thing. So you should be so kind enough or so keen enough in such a way that you should be in a very clear stage where you should know what you buy exactly and how much you spend exactly. So that is very very important, because if you don't know what
where
is exactly is, so then you end up in spending more on your savings or the daily things of budget of whatever you think of. The first one is the pricing, right? The pricing, you believe it or not, the 2 digits after the decimal in an item's price can influence your opinion, right? So that is exactly what is happening. So let's take an example. You wanted to buy a shirt, so you go to a store, you wanted to buy a shirt. So when it goes to 3000, probably you look at it as 3000 at a very higher note, but when you see it as 2999, so you have that particular thing, right? So that literally makes a difference. Okay. So and also at some time what happens is uh, the dots or the comma, probably the separators we normally use for the currencies, let it be dollars or rupees or anything. What happens is you visit a store, so they would not have marked the rupee symbol. It will be just 10, 7 or 5. Okay, so only that much. So you are tend to manipulate it, you see that and you get attracted to it, right? So this is to make you think you get a deal of buying something instead of getting one or two at that particular reduced price, right? And next comes the anchor pricing. So when you look on the anchor pricing, so it is something like uh, you wanted to buy a particular dress, or let us take shoes. So what happens is you see a price, it shows us 400 rupees. You put it back. Then you see right next to it a similar shoe which is of 100 rupees, right? So what happens is the literally the store, they wanted to look that particular shoe less cheaper, as because it is a local brand, and they don't want to get it, they don't want you to get it at that particular price, because we are always look on for branding, right? So that is very very important, right? And these things you see, the colors, right? Probably certain colors which literally gets your attraction, right? So that makes you think, and that makes you to buy that particular thing. So for example, certain colors are there. So if you take off yellow, that grabs your attention. So you could see the slide which I'm showing it to you right now is in yellow color, right? So this gets your attention, right? Red create urgency, blue builds trust and security, green relaxes you, orange encourages decisions, pink presents romance, black suggests luxury, purple soothes and calms. So like this, each and every color that you literally see will give you the options, and that will handle your psychological thought process in buying certain things. So that's how we end up in paying more in certain cases than we literally demand it off, right? And there are a lot more other factors also, where the taste, smell, touch, and lot more, because when we enter a mall or when we enter a store, the smell that gives you there will literally make you feel comfortable in such a way that you get relaxed and you started buying whatever you things you want, rather than your rather than things that you have planned, right? So it literally happens. Okay, so that's how these things go on. Certain things are at the brand names, because uh, example, if you take in the case of shoes, so Bata is a very big brand right here in India, and there are other imported shoes also, but that makes a very great brand, right? And also certain shirts, the Louis Philippe and the Van is in. So these are very branded shirts, Peter England, so very very branded in such a way that these things are getting our attention. So that's how these things go on. So certain times what happen is you are encouraged by the deals. So for example, let's take the lively example as well. The lifestyle, which is lifestyle shop in India, which right now is going on for a 50% deal. And there is one more Lens Trends. They also go for certain deals. So we are attracted by the deals, right? By the way, what happened is we go to the store. We never knew that how old is the stock is, and how new are the stockers literally, and we are attracted by certain products, either t-shirts, shirts, saris, salwar, anything like that. So we get attracted to it by in terms of the color and everything. At one point of time, what happen is we literally tend to buy certain things, right? So these things are very very important to know, that this literally turns our mind. Okay, so just I'll just give you three simple steps which can literally, you can go on the psychological concepts which can give you the better understanding of how you should make the buying process that you want to take on. So as I said, you should use your psychology to build a budget you'll stick with, right? So whenever you go into the store, or whenever before you go into the store, so you should use your psychology in such a way that you stick to a budget, and you should never oversee the budget. So that's how your shopping has to go on every time. Many people, they don't tend to do that, right? So we just go into the store, but we end up buying out of our budget also, just because that we see a product and we wanted to take it, right? So when you look out for the financial advisors, experts say they should good, bad, and a lot of things. So just go on, don't go on the contradiction with each other, right? So just use your simple psychology. So all these three steps which I'm going to give you right now, so that will help you to rethink the entire process of your buying concept. Whatever things you buy on that particular concept, right? So rather than trying to follow all the experts' advice, start by losing the desire to classify everything as good and bad. Instead, just remember these three steps. So that's very, very important. Let's go for the step one, prioritize. So whenever you go for a shopping, you should prioritize something what is literally that you wanted to buy first, right? So prioritizing your goals means taking a little personal reflection time and writing a few things down. So it is okay that right now we have mobiles, we note it down in mobiles, but although in the later stages which I tell you, so if you pen it down, probably you will have a better understanding. So what do you want your life to look like over the next few years? Like, it is not about prioritizing. Your goals should not be confused with categorizing your expenses. So that is not that thing. So you are just getting on the budget. So probably the things that you are going to buy. So you should look that for a few years, not on that particular thing, right? So it is not. It is no way other that leads with your goals, right? So it could be your dream to train for a new career, right? And maybe that particular expense can end up stopping your dream also, right? So that's how you should just look what you would be looking out for the next few years. So that how you should start giving your budget, right? And next, when you see it, so allow your goals to be a judgment free zone. So that's very, very important, because when you start judging something, what happens is at a particular point of time, you literally end up in getting a very big loss, or you don't be able to judge exactly what you wanted for, literally, right? So what is the main important thing is allow your goals to be judgment free zone. Goals and dreams are as diverse as the minds and personalities behind them, right? So that's how you should be in a judgment free zone, in such a way that you are having a diverse thing on your goals and dreams. So why prioritizing works? So that's very, very important, because many of you might be thinking right now, so why should I should prioritize things, right? Prioritizing your goals gets you buzzing about what your money can do for you. There are a couple of motivating factors at work here, right? So that is very, very important, because when you prioritize things, so you'll be able to have a plan of how your financial budgets are working on, right? So based on which you will be able to calculate your short term goals or dreams or something like that, or anyway in the long term also, right? So that is very, very important, and that's how this particular prioritizing literally works. You're asserting your beliefs and your values. It reminds you that you are in charge, that you have a say in wherever your money goes, right? So these things are very, very important in such a way that, so prioritizing literally helps you, and it reminds yourself that you are willing to adopt a budgeting system in the first place. So if you keenly look upon and think upon certain aspects, literally will give you the better concepts of how you are standing into your budget system, right? The social scientists point out the autonomy as being a critical element to sustain motivation. So when you literally go on with the prioritizing concepts, it gives you the power to realize the budget is a collection of choices you make in order to create the life you want. So just try thinking of yourself. So what are the literal aspects of budgeting? So just I'm just giving you a certain thing here. So first, to get started, grab a pencil and paper, probably to make a note. Ask yourself what you want. Think about it for 10 minutes. Write the answers down. Realize your goals are achievable. So as of this particular budgeting concept, the prioritizing is, it can be done for the daily day concept also. Probably when you buy something which you really need, or it may be the buying of houses, car, or any type of the luxury which costs you more, in such a way that you prioritize things in order. Probably you work for that particular realization of your goals are achievable. So we go to step 2, that to track it. So first we have prioritized it. So second, we need to track it. So when you start tracking your expenses, it means that you are aware of where your money is going as you spend it. It is not that you don't keep aware of, because since you are prioritized, you start spending on it and you don't know where your money is keep going. So this can be applicable for businesses also, because what happens is a business is there and there are a lot of projects coming on in for a business. At sometimes what happens is a particular project is a long term, happen to be a long term project, and there happens to be certain expenses for that particular long term project also. So the salary expense, the other expenses. But what literally happens is the company which handles lot of projects doesn't know what is the real expense of that particular project which it is working on, because it loads all the expenses in a particular tracker, and all the expenses are in a single tracker where there is no separate tracker for that particular project alone, right? So you may be having a lot of goals to be achieved, so you have prioritized all your goals. So there may be a position in such a way that you will be able to achieve some two goals at a particular point of time. So at that particular point of time, you should be in a position in such a way that you start tracking your expenses at each goals separately. So that's how we should be doing it. So you take some paper and you start doing all your expense calculation, or there are a lot of apps, budgeting apps, spreadsheets and everything. And some put in the envelopes, all your bills and something like that. So these are the different approaches that you can follow, and it's all totally up to you how you follow it. But start tracking your expenses. So when you track your expenses, a couple of things will come to light. You start to realize that every transaction, no matter how big or small, is either contributing to a goal or taking away from it. Right. So that is the first thing that literally you can just start analyzing on how this particular are you contributing to your goal. Either it is on the correct way, or there is some changes that need to be done. So the second thing you'll notice that the longer you have been tracking your expenses, the more you will see evidences of your progress. So it is not that you start tracking your expenses and you just leave it off. So you should be tracking your expenses to the end until you achieve the goal. So that is very, very important. So now why tracking works? So as I told you earlier, it is another critical element in sustaining motivation is competence or your ability to do something well, right? So we thrive on being reminded that we are improving. So that is very, very important, because you should be in a position or in a situation that you are convinced, where you literally know that you are following the correct steps, so that you will be in a correct position to note, okay, that is what I'm contributing is contributing to the right place, right? So always have a track on the expenses as well, because that is very, very important on the higher note. So tracking your expense helps to identify use your spending patterns and to course correct when necessary. As I told you earlier, see, for each and every goal that you wanted for, have a separate tracker that literally needs to happen. By tracking your spending, you are also tracking your effort. You're creating a record for your progress along with the record of your transactions, right? So obviously, many of you might be saying that, okay, I do all the transactions online, so why should I keep tracking my expenses again there on a particular on another entity, something like an app or some sort of a paper or something like that? Okay, that's fine, but if you are making all your expenses from a particular account only for this particular goal, then that's going to be fine, because at the end of the achieving the goal, you can just transport the entire transactions, and you can just make it as the sort of how you wanted to know and everything. So at any point of time when you see your transaction, you'll be able to know that, okay, you're at this particular level. But it is not in that case, because we may be using all the bank account for each and every transaction for the personal use as well as the goal achieving process. And if it is going to be two goal achieving process, then you will be spending it for both the goals also. At one point of time, you will not be knowing so what you have spent for, right? So you will have tangible evidence of how your actions and your follow through are contributing to a calmer, happier financial life. So this will give you the better understanding of your budgeting. You'll see how capable you are of budgeting, and you'll find it easier to keep your budgeting winning streak going. And all your goals happens to be achievable at each and every point of time. So many people they lose out this particular concept of budgeting, even though they don't spend also. At one point of time, what they do is they spend a very huge amount, because they don't keep spending. At one point of time, they keep spending. They spend at a huge amount, and they lose all the money, right? So that is not literally which is required and what is wanted also. Okay, so always have one thing in mind. So keep your tracking expenses very clear, right? So to get started, try out a new budgeting system today. Browse the App Store or the web, or pick up a book or the Play Store, anything. Download something app or take a book of accounts or whichever thing you want to do. Don't spend much time comparing budgeting approaches. Right? So just put your transaction. That's it. So you spend this much amount on this particular project this day. That's just put it there. You can. There are a lot of expense managers also there in the web. Just put it there. You create the projects that you want, you put that particular, and finally at the end of the month or end of your goal, just download it and you can analyze it. So that's how you can keep going on. Just pick one and try it out. So before you try it, you'll not be able to understand what things and how things go on, right? And the third one, the rewarding system. So you might be thinking why the rewarding system has to go on, because until you reward yourself, so nothing gets easier, right? So as I said, before you go on to the rewarding process, I'll just brief you certain things which literally is very very important that you should be keeping in mind. So you should be buying smarter and buying less also. So that's how you should be going on. So never fall for prices. So as I said, ending in the .99 and all these things. And the most important thing is you should know that you are being tracked for each and every expense that you are making on, right? So it can be either the government entity or any private entity also. Maybe you are going to a shop, a big mall, where you spend something, and that particular thing is also being tracked, where all your data is being fed there. By any instance you are giving your data in such a way that, and they will be giving you a lot of offers in terms of SMS, emails and everything. So what happens is many a times people literally fall for all these offers. So that's how these things go on. So it is not that you should not go for the offers. Probably you can go for the offers, but it is not that you keep going on for the offers. Probably you would have purchased something probably the day before. The next day you are being given an offer. It is not that you the next day, because it is an offer, that you go and buy the again day, right? So that by that way you're going to lose all your savings, and your expense literally goes higher, and you literally lose the concept of achieving your goal at some point of time, right? So that is very very important. And the next most important thing that you should keep in mind is, so you should never fall for the prices, right? So that is really important, because when you fall for the prices, that you may not be on a particular conscious level, in such a way that you may think, okay, that particular product is cheaper and it is well enough, but you may not be on the particular right stage to get on with that particular product, right? So never fall for that product, uh, sorry, never fall for the price of the product. So that is very very important. So let's come back to the reward system. So what is this particular reward system? So this reward system is nothing but you should start rewarding yourself, right? So that is how the reward system goes. Rewarding yourself means encouraging and celebrating your progress as you celebrate, as you create healthier financial habits, because many people literally fail on this financial habits, which is very very important, right? So just go on with creating the better and the best financial progress. That will give you the best thing, and you can start rewarding yourself for the financial habits. So let's take the milestones. So this particular thing, so it can be a time based, achievement based or increment based, right? Your rewards, so material rewards and time and experience based rewards, both the things are there, right? So based on which you can choose how you should be going on with the milestones with respect to your rewards. Why rewarding works? Simple, very very quiet and simple. When at some point of time when you are rewarded, you literally feel great and great. Rewards highlight our achievements and renew our commitment. Okay, so that's how this particular reward system literally works. So when you are rewarded by someone, you get the encouragement. When you start rewarding yourself, you get motivated, right? So these kind of motivation or the commitment that you give it to yourself on the rewarding process will give you the better and higher prospects of you achieving the goals in your budgeting thing. Right. As kids, we love earning those gold star stickers. How many of you have done it? I don't know, but I have done it. So whenever I was in school, so there was a practice where we used to have a diary. So at some point of time, we would be rewarded the stars. So if it is a gold, they would be sticking the gold star. If it is a silver, they will be sticking silver star. Or at some, if if the students are the higher note, they'll be sticking some 2 3 stars also. So we would get the encouragement such a way that we should get all the gold stars. So that's how things were going on. Although that familiar achievement or reward structure practically disappears in later years, it doesn't mean that rewards are less effective in adulthood. It is because when we think about this particular thing on the adulthood, we might have a better, uh, probably will nourish certain achievements and also certain memories, but that seems stupidity also at that particular point of time as an adulthood kind of thing. But when you look at the younger stage, that was a very big achievement for that particular 10-year or even below that year old kid, right? So assigning rewards to a milestone creates added incentive and boosts your motivation. As I said to you earlier, so rewarding yourself gives you the motivation, and someone rewarding you gives you the encouragement, right? So when you earn, claim and enjoy a reward, your brain gets an extra hit of dopamine, which increases your focus and drive. Which, I don't know how many of you know this, but I have experienced this because whenever I get the encouragement, so I literally get one little extra kind of a boost in such a way that I work the next again way also, right? So that's how this particular entire rewarding system works. So what happens when you start rewarding yourself for your financial budget habits? So just to see. So how do you get started? Brainstorm a list of budgeting milestones and a list of possible rewards. So let us take in the case that you wanted to buy a mobile phone. So you have created brainstorming budgeting milestones. You wanted to buy a mobile phone and you started saving on this particular buying a mobile phone at some point of particular cost. So what happens? One point of time you have achieved that particular savings for buying the mobile phone, and you buy that mobile phone and you reward yourself in such a way that you buy an additional accessory for that particular thing also, for the mobile also, right? So where you have a satisfaction in such a way that you have saved for your mobile phone, buying a mobile phone, and you have rewarded yourself in such a way that you have bought an accessory for that particular mobile phone. That gives you an additional happiness in such a way that you have rewarded yourself and you have accomplished your milestone also, right? So set a timer for 10 minutes to keep yourself on track. So after the time is up, assign the rewards to your milestones. So this is how you should assign your milestones, and you should keep the rewards, right? And rewards should celebrate your efforts and be exciting to work toward it. So that's what I've said right now. So when you reward yourself, you should be in such a way that you should get satisfied, because that particular reward that you have allocated that particular reward for that particular milestone of you achieving it. And if that is in that case, so you'll be in a happier note, so that you'll be able to celebrate that particular reward at any point of time. So when you reach your milestones, claim your rewards. That is very, very important, right? Incorporating, prioritize, track, reward. So these three steps are really very, very important in your life. For budgeting method of choice will boost your motivation while tracking your personal finance goals at the same time. So all the best always have these three steps in your life so that
என்றன் முன்னை தீயவினை பயன்கள் இன்னும் மூளாதழிந்திடுதல் வேண்டும். இனி என்னை புதிய உயிராக்கி எனக்கேதும் கவலையறச் செய்து மதி தன்னை மிகத் தெளிவு செய்து என்றும் சந்தோஷம் கொண்டிருக்கச் செய்வாய். என்றும் சந்தோஷம் கொண்டிருக்கச் செய்வாய். நான் வீழ்வேன் என நினைத்தாயோ?
Thank you so much, people. So these are my contact details. You can contact me anytime. So if you have any queries, you can just put your queries on the chat. So just a minute. I'm just looking on the chat. Okay, Jai Surya has come up with a question. So happy evening, Jai Surya. So can you give your valuable suggestions on how to tackle the inevitably growing inflation? Okay. So regarding the inflation, probably see, when you are stuck to a budget, so probably this particular budgeting will give you the better options of prioritizing your goals first. So whenever you prioritize your budget for your future, you should be in a very cautious stage that you should look upon for the inflation also. Let's take, if we are buying a car. So when you buy a car today, if it is going to be costing you 13 lakhs. So let's take an example. If the BS6 implementation in India has happened, so there might be a possibility of the car price increasing to a particular level of maybe 10 to 20 percentage, right? So you are planning to achieve a goal of milestone buying a car at a particular point of time, probably down the lane of 5 years. So you should be in a very cautious stage and you should think for yourself. So if your budget is going to be 13 lakhs, you should be prioritizing and budgeting your all your goals and tracking everything for 14 lakhs, so that what happens is this particular uh, inflation that can happen at any point of time will help you to that, so that you have a buffer for it. At probably, if you will not be, if it is going to be 14 lakhs at the time of you going to buy, but you have planned for 13 lakhs, so what happens is you will get demotivated in that particular point of time. So whenever you go on for budgeting yourself, so you should have to keep at least a 10% or 20% buffer any time on prioritizing your milestones. So that is very, very important. The second thing is, we may not be knowing of this particular inflation at each and every point of time, because that we cannot look out for how the inflation can go on, because a lot of various factors literally plays on, because right now also due to the COVID-19, a lot of prices have inflated, a lot of products prices have inflated, maybe the electronic goods as well, because it may be of China goods, but the goods which came from Korea also has been stopped because of the containment, which we are not able to get it transported through the air or the containers or through the ships. So what happens is, at this particular point of time, the inflation of the product prices have also gone up. So to mitigate this particular thing, what you can be doing is, you can take certain time relaxation as well, so that these inevitable circumstances can be tackled upon probably in a year or two. So if you plan to buy a car this year, and due to this COVID-19, the inflation has gone up, but you are not able to buy it. So what you could be doing is, so you can just postpone this particular buying of a car probably for 6 months to 1 year also, and this will not be giving you much differences. Probably you can buy a car right now, and there is a possibility of the car price getting lower also, but you don't have the concrete evidences of what will happen after the COVID-19 or this particular pandemic situation also. There may be a car price and price fall in the car price, or there may be a rise also. So in this particular point of time, so it is not in our hands. Probably you should be looking out for all the financial things going on in the daily day, that you should be tracking over it, and by that way you should be altering your milestones at each and every point of time. So that will give you the better exposure of getting your milestones updated, so that it will you will be in a positive updation stage, so that you'll be able to track your milestone and also prioritize, or you'll be able to achieve your milestone at what stage you wanted for. I guess I answered your question. So if you have any questions more, you can just get back to me. Yes. Okay. This concept of biology, probably this there is a book also in the name of biology, right? So you can just try and reading that book also. It is simple in such a way that that particular book explains you of what how the psychological concepts of biology literally work. All your mind and all the enzymes or all the hormones which are there in your mind will literally work on. So when you see on that particular perspective, this particular biology is literally should be inculcated in all the childhood also, right? Because I was a better learner on this particular budgeting system. Probably I was uh, literally I grew up in prioritizing my budget and tracking my expenses and achieving my milestone and getting rewarded for me by myself, right? So I'm a very poor buyer. So that is the real concept, which literally. So I don't buy things easily for anything. So it is not that I'm so stringent, but it is something like I save it for the future and something like where I buy it on the necessary only. So it is not that for any occasion that I keep going and buying certain dresses, so that every weekend I go to shop, I start purchasing some dresses or something like that. So I don't do that. But in turn, what I do is I wanted to invest on a bigger thing where I get benefited, or also I feel happy that I'm getting a more perspective on that particular thing, right? So when teach our kids, so what the most important thing that should be done is, so we should teach them how to prioritize their needs. That is the first thing. So without prioritizing their needs, nothing could go on, right? So prioritizing their needs is very very important, because without prioritizing they will not be in a position to know what they want literally. Okay, so that is very very important first on the first stage. And the second stage, teach them to track their expenses, because I've seen a lot of kids spending a lot, and they don't know what their expenses are literally are, right? So we should teach the kids so what is exactly their expenses are really. And finally, if probably you should teach them in such a way that you should start rewarding the kids, so that they get to know the rewarding system. And when you start rewarding the kids, and at one point of time what happens is the kids know that, so if we are in the correct tracking and also prioritizing our needs, we will be able to get all the things at each and every time, right? So that is very very important. Any more questions? Today, Jay Surya, thank you so much. Any more questions, people? Okay, I guess everyone are done with the questions. Thank you so much for connecting with me today. So you can just share this particular video to your friends also. This particular webinar went live on YouTube also. You can just go type this topic. You'll be able to get this particular topic there on the YouTube also. You can just share it with your friends, and this can give them the better understanding of how they can go on getting probably strategizing their prioritizing and tracking and rewarding them on the biology concept. Thank you so much once again, people. I will share you the feedback link there in the chat. So just ping on to the feedback and post your honest feedback about this webinar. We'll see you tomorrow evening with another one webinar. Until then, bye. Good night.